Hey, superstars. Thanks for joining us today. I'm your host, Aaron Zakowski, and today I'm chatting with Tamara Green and Kyle Lacy from Lessonly. Tamara is the demand generation specialist, and Kyle is the chief marketing officer. Lessonly is a powerful, simple training software that helps teams to learn, practice, and do better work. They enable busy teams to get on the same page, stay ahead of change, and deliver amazing experiences to customers and prospects. Kyle and Tamara, how are you doing today?
Good. Hi. How are you?
Doing
We're
great.
good.
Glad you guys could be here. I kind of gave a little bit of a explanation of the company. Would love to have you guys explain maybe a little bit about yourselves, your backgrounds, and tell us a little bit more about the company.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you a little bit of overview of the company, and I usually try to point to education as a great way to explain. We grow up and go to school and learn, and you're in sports and you practice, and then you get to the workforce, and we don't do much of any of that anymore, right? It's really hard to learn, and we definitely don't practice in our current jobs, and that's what Leslie helps people do. It helps you learn the skills you need to succeed in your job and then to practice those skills to get better. So I serve the marketing team at Lessonly, which is demand gen, brand, and outbound sales.
Right. It seems so simple, the idea of just continuing to practice, and that you're right. Most of us, don't kind of keep up with that in our business world.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Tamara, tell us a bit about yourself and kind of what your role is at Lessonly.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, I'm the demand generation specialist at Lessonly. So, I manage all of our paid channels, all of our marketing operations, and our tech stack we use on the marketing team.
Okay, fantastic. And in terms of the product, kind of who's your market, who you guys marketing to, cost structure a little bit, in terms of just general price range of the product. So the listeners know, like, is this only for SMBs, enterprise, where do you guys fall?
Tamara, you want to take ICP?
Sure. We typically go for companies with at least 25 users or 100 employees. We focus mainly on IT, retail, telecom, sort of finance and government recently. Kyle, do you
And
want to take
yeah,
cost structure?
most of them are most of them are frontline teams. So it's either sales or customer service teams. And our price is at the low end. It could be around 7 grand. At the high end, it could be 7 figures. We have over 1,000 customers, and it's pretty much spread across both commercial, mid-market, and enterprise.
Right. From what I understand, you've got a pretty big team, pretty big companies that servicing, that market as well.
Yeah, we're about 170 people. Majority of us are in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay. And how big's your marketing team?
Oh, how big is the marketing team? I think we
We've got
have
11 on brand and demand, 4 inbound reps, and
20
gosh,
some. We're about 36, so we've got about 20, 22 BDRs.
That's a nice
So
healthy team.
30, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah. You guys are doing well. Love to hear that. And you guys also just recently closed a round of funding, I think, even within the pandemic of COVID-19 and quarantine. You guys are one of the few companies that come through with some funding rounds.
Yeah, we were very lucky. We're very lucky to have that happen, and we are blessed that it happened.
Yeah. Very exciting. Great. So what I'd love to ask you guys a little bit is just kind of, tell us what's working at Lessonly. You guys have grown tremendously, which, I love to see. If you were to say that there's one or two marketing tactics or strategies that have worked, think about an 80-20 rule. What would those things be for you?
Tamara?
well, uh, about we sort of split our inbound leads and MQLs and opportunities into a third paid, a third direct, and a third organic. And I think there's a lot of different channels and strategies that go into each of those that are all working. And that's very good. And we're fortunate to have that.
Uh-huh.
But by and large, I mean, for organic, we have a dedicated SEO team. For paid, we have a dedicated paid strategy. Google Ads is our sort of evergreen paid channel. And then for direct, we have an incredible brand team that, we throw field marketing events and we do really cool direct mail campaigns. And I think all of those are factors that lead to our marketing team's success.
Yeah, our best channel. I mean, our best channel by far is definitely Google, which has its pluses and minuses, right? Because we are highly dependent on Google, which is why we hired yourself and Samo Digital, is to try to differentiate our channel strategy. But
Right.
definitely Google is a large portion of that.
All right. So let's talk about Google then for a second. So what's kind of been the strategy there in terms of, not giving away too much of the secret sauce, but what you could share with the audience in terms of, what's making Google work? I mean, in addition to that, first of all, you said, the fact that you've kind of got it balanced out a third, great diversification, definitely don't want to be too dependent on any one traffic channel that could disappear, like a Google or something like that. So the fact you've got that diversified is great to hear. But I'd love to hear a little bit more about what is the Google strategy and why is that working so well?
Well, I know that I can speak more to paid than organic,
Okay.
but for me at least, it is having sort of a conscientious, dedicated mind towards paid spend and paid keywords as Lessonly continues to evolve. So before I came on board, we had a consultant that was managing our Google Ads account, and I think just sort of reorganizing that strategy and having someone within Lessonly who's dedicated to all the updated messaging, all the updated keywords, and keeping an eye on things more closely has worked.
So to be clear, so you're running that campaign yourself?
Yeah.
So that's not something being outsourced anymore?
Right.
Okay. And you think that's an important part of the success is the fact that it's an internal project as opposed to outsourced?
At least in Lessonly's case.
Okay. So within the Google Ads, I mean, how much of that, if you could share, is coming from, branded versus more generic search?
I would say 1/3 branded, 2/3 generic.
Okay.
In terms of organic, it's time. It's the fact that we had somebody at Lessonly early on. He was the third employee, Mitch Cosby, that started building search in 2012. So
and when you've got that, talking organic SEO.
Organic, yeah.
So that's something where you guys within the LMS industry, you guys are ranking pretty well for all those keywords, I guess.
Yeah.
Great. And in terms of what are you doing is something I'm always fascinated with. We're ranking well for, the keywords within the industry. How are you capturing the traffic on those pages? For example, a lot of time we'll rank well for blog posts and things like that. That's where a lot of people's SEO comes from. But most people's blog posts aren't really very well optimized towards actually capturing leads and emails and getting people into your community. What have you done to kind of make all that organic traffic, which might not have intent to basically be using a product right now, but how are you capturing those people and ultimately converting them into the community?
Well, we take it a little bit differently. We actually don't. The only gated form we have for the most part is demo.
Okay.
And then we have a chat using Drift on the entire website. So we don't take a database marketing approach where we are trying to get thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people to nurture. Mm-hmm. We take a very, we want to talk to you when you're ready. And if you're going to go read 50 blog posts before you do that, that's fine. We're not going to try to push you into a demo. Uh-huh. So it's just demo.
And in terms, it's an interesting approach. So even pulling people into a broad newsletter and capturing people and just continuing to push education and value with them, that's not part of the strategy either?
Not today. We are starting to differentiate based off of what I talked about before on Google being a large portion of what drives revenue. So a podcast and a newsletter about a very specific thing is being launched. Our CEO has a newsletter that has a database, but we don't take the route of just because you downloaded an ebook on training means that you want to hear from us every week. It's just the reality is people will opt into it, and if they want it, they will ask for it, and that's how I've kind of approached it.
Yeah. Ironically, on some of our top keyword SEO pages, we do have demo CTAs at the top and sort of like mid-page CTAs, and they do convert. So we still do generate some leads from those pages, but they're not like pure content leads.
Okay, great. It's refreshing because so many companies, their sole objective is let's get as many people into our funnel and then bombard them with messaging, from now until eternity, assuming that because they read an article or signed up for an ebook, 5 months ago, they're still interested in it today.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. All right. So let me ask you, then moving on a little bit, can you share any strategies or channels that you've tested that just didn't work for you that you really expected would work?
I mean, we already sort of touched on it, but content syndication never worked.
Content syndication?
Never. I've tried 4 or 5 different content syndication vendors with 4 or 5 different follow-up approaches, and it has never worked for us.
And by content syndication, you're talking like an Outbrain or one of those types of companies?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right. The truth is I've tested them a bunch myself as well, and I've had similar experiences to you, especially within the B2B space. It's kind of hard to make those channels work.
Well, I mean, the reality is that marketers that are driven only by leads can buy those all day long, and they're probably why. I mean, I'm probably going to get hit up by Outbrain people after this, but that's probably why they're still in business, right? But when you have to drive revenue like our team is, our team is relevant because we own a revenue number. We can't make mistakes of, let's just get thousands and thousands of leads. We've got to drive revenue. We have to drive revenue in the quarter, in the month.
Right. I think it's also, at least within those channels, I think a B2C versus a more consumer focused broad market, in terms of those platforms just can't target the same way that your Google and your Facebook and those kind of platforms can do it. All right. Let me ask you another question then. If you needed to have a new traffic channel or acquisition channel rather tomorrow, what would be the next thing you would think to test, or where do you see good opportunities in the market right now for buying traffic? Obviously, I know you just recently started with some paid acquisition and paid social, but anything else?
Oh, you mean I'm not allowed to say paid social? Is that
you're allowed to say that?
I mean, it's like we're testing some e-newsletter advertising with Morning Brew. Of course, paid social is definitely something that we're bullish on, and some of this owned content like a newsletter and podcasts and stuff for sure. I don't know, Tamara, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, we're also trying to run a campaign this quarter. It's sort of an ABM campaign at a high level, but a multi-pronged approach where we're hitting accounts from a bunch of different channels and a bunch of different avenues.
Can you explain a little bit more about that? Like, what does that look like?
Well, it's still in the very early stages of being born, so I don't know exactly what it looks like yet, but in an ideal world, we're generating a lot of intent data from some tools to surface net new accounts. And then we're serving social and display ads to those accounts to increase account identified to opportunity created conversion rates.
All right. That sounds great. Let me ask you both. A lot of my audience, a lot of people subscribe to my email list are people who are kind of earlier stage. They'd love to grow to the stage of or the size of and success of Lessonly. But right now they're kind of beta launch stage a little bit, and they're trying to get their initial traction. They're trying to get their first customers. From your perspectives, what would you recommend to somebody who's kind of getting started with a new B2B SaaS platform or software? They maybe just launched it and they're just trying to get their initial traction. What would you be, whether it's a specific channel or just a general mindset of advice that you would love to hear from both of you on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk for an hour on this. Tamara, you want to?
I will defer my time to Kyle.
No, I think that the number one thing is fully try to understand your use case and persona. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of MVPs and a lot of new products, they have the ability to do that and do it fast, which is great. And there are also some times where people don't try to do that and they just try to sell to whoever will take it. But it's very, very important to focus. And I think early on, that's what we learned. And early on, meaning when I joined, it was 50 people, give or take. And we focused and it worked really well. So, and I think a lot of times people don't because they see those dollar signs on a contract and they take it because they have to. But in reality, you don't necessarily have to do that. You can focus, you can build a great product for a market that needs it, sell to that market, and then differentiate outside of that. So from a marketing strategy, it's focus and it's trying to figure out the 20, 30, 50, 100 businesses that will buy this product and focus primarily on getting those 100 people to buy. And don't do a pray and spray approach to marketing because you have the ability to focus because you're small. That'd be my number one thing. And then who knows what channels you'll use to reach them, because most of the time people go channel first and then use case second, which is wrong. It should be the other way around.
Right. I think that's a great point. So essentially what you're saying is pick your list of 100, 200 companies, whatever your number is, and just do whatever it takes to get yourself noticed and considered by those companies. And then you just use whatever channels and strategies you can just to accomplish that goal.
Yep. Because if you're building a product for those specific 100 people, you're going to get 10 of them to buy, and that will fund a new market for you as a startup.
Love that. That's
that conversion rate I just made up, but I'm hoping that you can sell 10 out of 100 people.
Yeah, listen, I think if someone's totally focused and they build a good product and they believe in their product, that should be the case. You would hope, right?
Yeah, and if you can't, then you've saved yourself years of pain and anguish trying to build a business because you figured out it's not a business, and you can move on to another idea.
Right.
That's the beauty of an MVP.
Right. I've had the conversation with a number of people recently that, stop trying to build process and infrastructure and everything else until you actually just can find out if people actually want what you got.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. This has been great. What I'd love to do now, generally we do a lightning round, just 5 quick questions. You ready? You ready to go fast?
Terrible and lightning rounds. All right.
But I'm going to go one of you at a time here because you just got very different opinions, and we'd love to learn from both of you a little bit about this stuff. So let's go with Tamara first. I'm going to ask you 5 quick questions. Whatever the first thing that comes to your mind. I know you see the questions a little bit in advance, so hopefully you have some idea. But
okay.
Personally, single, married, kids. Tell us a little bit about yourself quickly.
Engaged, no kids.
Oh, engaged is great. That's fantastic. What book would you recommend to our listeners to read?
Do Better Work by Max Yoder.
All right. I didn't even know Max had a book, so that's a great one.
Yeah.
Max, in case you don't know, is the CEO and founder of Lacy. What's your favorite marketing or productivity tool?
I am a huge Marketo fan, and implementing Marketo was like my personal passion project at Lacy.
All right. And who's your favorite marketer to learn from?
Am I allowed to say Kyle?
No, you're not.
Then I'm going to go with Ben Battaglia. He's my direct supervisor, and he reads like 10 books a day and always comes to me and tells me all the latest stuff he's learned, and I look up to him and learn from him every day.
Amazing. So sounds like a great position to be in to have such great mentors over there to learn from. And last question for you right now is, what's your favorite website or online community to learn from?
My favorite, I love to learn from other companies who are doing things that I think are cool, because I hope that other people also think they're cool. We did a campaign on our team called What Would Fill in the Blank Do last quarter, and the company I chose was Drizzly, if you've heard of them.
What are they called?
Drizzly. I
am not familiar with them. What are they? Who are they?
They're an alcohol delivery service, and ironically, I've never used them once, but I love everything they're doing on their marketing team. Their brand somehow makes me feel like they're my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hyper-personalized, hyper-bright, dynamic. It's awesome.
Definitely checking that out after we get off this call. Fantastic. Kyle, let me ask you the same questions. Single, married, kids?
Married, 2 kids, 2 and 4 years old, 2 boys.
Great. And what book would you recommend to our listeners?
Man, I'm terrible at this because I usually just read history books.
It doesn't have to be a business book. It could be a fiction, whatever you want to recommend.
I'm reading a book right now called The Anarchy, which is about the East India Company and how they took over India in the late 1700s. It's pretty good.
Okay, fantastic. Your favorite marketing and productivity tool?
I love Superhuman, the email app. It's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
Highly recommend.
Okay, I'll check that one out also. I think that's one of the great things about this. I get to learn about new products that I'm not familiar with. What's your favorite marketer to learn from?
Oh, man. I should have thought about this. Joe Staples, for sure, who's the CMO at Motivosity, a mentor. He is one of the best.
I've been in my room for a long time.
Get to see some of those kids now, huh?
Yeah. Okay, hold on one second.
And what is your favorite website or online community to learn marketing from?
Revenue Collective, all day long. It's a membership group of VP level and above sales and marketing leaders.
Okay. In fact, I think it was through a connection there. That's how we met in the first place.
Yeah, it was. Yes, definitely.
Very cool. So I'm a fan as well. Created this great relationship. Great. So this has been great so far. Would love to tell our community kind of where they can go to follow you and learn more about you guys. Tamara, where can people learn more about you online?
Just my LinkedIn would probably be the best place.
Okay. Kyle, how about you?
Same here. LinkedIn.
Okay. We'll link that up. We got a cameo over here. Love it.
Yes, we do.
Great. This has been super fun. I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining. And thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.